Welcome to the Bellator 179 conference call. If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 in order to enter the Q&A roster. I will now turn the call over to Bellator President Scott Coker. Mr. Coker, you may begin your call.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the media for attending today's call. We got a very exciting event, Bellator 179, Daley versus MacDonald. This is something that's happening next week, Friday, May 19th at the SSE Arena, Wembley in London. That's really a headline between two of the best 170-pounders in the world, and we'll be competing for the number one contender spot in Bellator in the welterweight division. If you look at our division in the 170-pound weight class, I think it clearly is one of our strongest divisions, and I think it's probably the strongest division of the welterweights of any leagues currently out there. You look at the fight between Douglas Lima and Lorenz Larkin in New York. We have other prospects, Michael Venom Page, Derek Anderson. We have Paul, we have Rory. But this fight clearly will be for the number one contender spot. We'll fight the winner of Douglas Lima versus Lorenz Larkin in New York on June 24th. In addition to the headline fight, we also have other great fights on the main card that feature former champion Liam McGarry fighting Linton Vassell at light heavyweight division. We have Czech Congo versus Augusto Sakai at heavyweight, and the return of Baby Slice against TJ Griffin fighting on the card as well. And this event will be aired on Spike TV here in the U.S. at 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. It'll also air on Spike UK at 9 p.m. On Friday the 19th, as well as Channel 5 starting at 10 p.m. in prime time. Will air from 10 to midnight. On one other quick note, on the same weekend, at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, along with a partner with Monster Energy Drink, we'll be bringing a fight series to the Charlotte Motor Speedway prior to the Monster Energy NASCAR All-Star Race. We'll have 4 eliminator fights in the Bellator. We're trying to raise some talent here to find who's the next potential fighter from that region that can get a contract into Bellator. Tito Ortiz will be fighting with Dan Henderson on Friday from 3 to 4 o'clock. It's something that we work very hard with Monster, and I'd like to thank Hans and from Monster Energy for making this all happen. And we're very excited about introducing Bellator to a whole new fan base, which is a NASCAR fan base. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Danny.
Great. Operator, we can take our first question at this time.
All right, your first question comes from the line of Gareth Davies from the London Telegraph. Your line is live.
Thank you. Good afternoon, gentlemen, and good evening from London. Can I start by asking Scott Coker, first of all? Scott, is this a big moment for Bellator, given that you are on UK network television live for the first time, obviously coming to a potential audience of what is basically 70 million people?
Yeah, Gareth, we were actually had our event last year, the 3 fights on Channel 5 as well. So this is your second time.
I apologize, you did, yeah.
Yeah, no worries. But, anytime you can be on terrestrial television in the UK, it's an exciting time. And I think that's really the beauty and the power of Viacom, being the ownership group of Bellator, is that, they own Channel 5, they own Spike channels across the world. And it just demonstrates, one more level of commitment that they have behind this brand.
And do you have a target? Do you want to break the million mark? And break the records here for viewership? And do you think it will, given the card you put together?
Yeah, listen, I think that this is the first time we've gone on a Friday night there. Last year, I believe we were on a Saturday night, and so there'll be plenty of great programming we're going to compete against. But last year I think our peak number we were close to 600, and if we get something close to that or can beat that, we'll be very happy.
Thank you. Could I ask Paul? Are you? Have you responded at all mentally to the fact that Rory MacDonald said in the last few weeks that he is going to win by KO in this fight?
he has to be confident. He has to go out there and say things like that. But I'm a very tough and durable guy, and I've been in there with some of the biggest hitters in the division. I've been in trouble. I've got back up, and I've fought the rounds out. I've been in with a number of big hitters, guys that have knocked guys out at middleweight, guys that have fought at light heavyweight and knocked guys out, and I've come out the victor, normally via knockout. So Rory has to go in there saying these big things. He's been out for a while. He wants to come back. He wants to entertain, but he knows realistically he is not going to win by knockout. And
Paul, I don't know if it's me, but I couldn't hear you particularly clearly then. I don't know if it's just on my line.
And I'm just saying, as I was saying, that he has to say things like that because he's been out for a while. But the fight will go the way it normally goes when people feel my power. When I touch him with the punches, he'll be doing his best to get the fight to the ground. So I just have to be prepared for that and take my opportunities when they arise.
And do you feel much? We know how powerful you are as a striker. We know that you're a brilliant finisher. But do you feel a much smarter fighter than say those kind of wars you had back in 2011 with Nick Diaz or with Tyron Woodley? Are you a changed fighter over the last 4, 5 years, 6 years?
Yeah, most definitely. I'm a much more comfortable fighter. I'm much more happy with the way that I prepare for fights. I enjoy the whole process. And I've come to realize that I have the big advantage over the majority of guys that I fight, and that I've had so many fights in kickboxing and MMA, and I've taken that on board now. I've acknowledged that, and it's brought me to a certain comfort level where I feel like I fought every type of fighter you can give me in MMA or kickboxing. So I really just have to go in there and fight. I don't have to think about anything. I just have to go in there and fight. I've been in the most situations. I've been with my back against the wall. I've been knocked down. I've got up. I've been in submissions. I've had to defend. I've done everything. So all I have to do in there is go and fight and take the guy out, finish the guy.
And can I just finally ask you, Paul, it's a huge time for fight sports in the UK at the moment. We've just had a massive heavyweight event at Wembley just next door with Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko in boxing, and there's talk of Tyson Fury coming back at the moment. There's a huge interest in fight sports in the UK more than ever before, certainly in the last 25 years that I've been involved in fight sports covering it. And is it a thrill to be headlining at this time at home when fight sports are thriving?
Yeah, definitely. And that's such a prestigious venue in Wembley Arena. I've had some of the best moments of my career at Wembley Arena. Being a young 23-year-old fighting in front of 10,000 people at the old Cadbury promotion, I was British and world champion there, and it feels like the timing is right for me to come back to sort of come full circle and back to being on a big show in front of the home crowd in more familiar territory. O2 was great, but I'd never fought at O2 before, and to be honest, I felt really uncomfortable. I felt more comfortable fighting in America. Whereas Wembley, the whole area, I have family across the road. My auntie has a Jamaican restaurant across this road. My cousin lives around the corner. My coach is just up the road. I know the area. I know the arena, and I'm just looking forward to, taking it back to my youth and entertaining and knocking Rory out.
Could I just finally ask a question? Thank you, Paul. Could I finally ask a question for Rory? As you said and quoted recently, you believe you'll win by knockout, Rory. Why do you win this fight by knockout?
I've said in the past that I could win this fight by any means necessary, any finish. I feel like I have the ability to knock out Paul, but I definitely feel that if the fight goes to the ground, I have the ability to submit him as well, because I'm well-rounded. I've made it clear that I could fight the best of the best in the kickboxing realm, and the best on the ground as well. So that's something that he has to look out for, is my well-rounded game.
And finally, from me, Rory, thank you. Do you feel reinvigorated, if you like, being in a new organisation? Have you felt the difference? Does that mean something to you to have a change of scene, if you like, and become perhaps more reinvigorated?
Absolutely. It feels like chapter 3 of my career at this point. A big organization move, and just coming off the 2 losses that I've had, and the changes I've made in my training. I've noticed a big difference in my mindset, my physical abilities, my martial art abilities. So I'm very excited to make my debut in Bellator and show the changes that I made over this layoff, and I think it'll excite people for the future fights.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
The next question comes from the line of Steve Jones from MMA Mania.
Thank you, operator. My first question is for Rory, and I'd like to know if he feels that there's been an evolution in his style as a fighter, given it's been almost a year since we saw him go 5 rounds with Wonder Boy.
Absolutely. I made a lot of changes from the way I was training for that fight. I had said before, I made the mistake of overthinking my opponent and adapting my style every single fight and trying to learn new martial arts and new techniques and really getting away from my strengths. And, this past 11 months off has really been about getting back to my strengths and getting back to the basics and sharpening my own skills and my strengths. And I'm feeling at my best because of the work I put in.
Well, speaking of getting back to your strengths, many people believe that you were a UFC champion in the making during your time there. Do you feel that strength has carried over to Bellator, and are you putting pressure on yourself to be a champion in Bellator?
Honestly, I'm not too worried about being champ. I'm just there to take out whoever's in front of me. Obviously, it'd be nice to fight for the title, but I'm not really putting a lot of pressure on that. I just want to go out there and wreck people the way I know I can.
All right. And for Paul, we've talked before about how much you enjoy fighting back home in England, and you're getting that opportunity here again in the main event. But how much more does it mean to you not just to be fighting at home, but to earn potentially another shot and get a chance after you didn't get it done the last time in London?
Yeah, it's a massive opportunity, but above the opportunities that's ahead of me, it's, I'm fighting the name of Rory MacDonald, someone who I rank in the top 5 in the world. He's a big name. He's seen the game. And I truly believe that he's in for a big shock. I think that everything is seen in footage that is heard or seen following my long career is nothing like the actual experience when you're in the cage with me. And I truly believe that he's in for a big shock.
Well, I think Brennan Ward found that out firsthand back in January. But as for delivering a big shock, if you get that title shot, which Scott has already said is on the line here, do you want that rematch with Lima, or would you like to face Larkin potentially instead?
I'm saying that Rory is top 5. I hold Lima above Rory. I don't think there's a bigger, more athletic, scarier welterweight out there at the moment. And me and my team, we believe that we can defeat Douglas Lima over 5 rounds. So not looking past Rory, but yeah, we want the shot at Lima. I feel if I'm more composed, I don't rush out in the first 30 seconds like I did last time. I think over 5 rounds we'll beat Lima.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Your next question comes from the line of Ty O'Keefe from Fight Network. Your line is live.
Hey, guys. I just want to say, first of all, I appreciate your time. My first question is for Rory MacDonald. you came over from the UFC, and you were there for quite a while, and obviously you haven't fought yet in Bellator. But could you mention or, talk about some of the differences you've seen thus far between the two promotions as far as your experiences go?
I've just been more in touch with the promoters, getting my outlooks on things, how I want things to go when it comes to the promotion of myself, just more involved rather than just being another guy in the line, another number or, another sheep. So I just feel more respected, more attention to detail when it comes to, the promotion of myself, because, I think Bellator gets it that they want to build the character around every guy on their roster. They want to build up the names and let people see the real side of them, and they could build that up. But UFC kind of has lost that, and everybody's wearing the same thing, and everybody is trying to be Conor McGregor, so it's lost its feel over there a little bit.
Okay, and just another quick question for Rory. Your last fight with Wonder Boy, you had kind of a long layoff leading up to that fight as well. Did you think that factored into the loss that you had against Wonder Boy? And if so, are you somewhat concerned about that again, having 2 long layoffs in a row like that?
No, the layoff wasn't a big issue for me. I mean, when I got in there, a fight's a fight for me. I could fight any place, anytime, anywhere, so against anybody. So the problem with that fight was my training. I really had screwed up and tried to be a karate kickboxer and tried to beat my opponent at his own game. And I'd made that mistake too many times, trying to change my style every single fight. And I made the necessary changes this year, and I don't think we're going to see that same issue.
All right, thanks a lot. And just a quick question for Paul Daley. Now, you mentioned that, you rank Lima ahead of MacDonald, although they're both top 5 in the world. Having said that, would beating Rory MacDonald rank as the biggest win of your career?
Yeah, most definitely. Rory is a recognized name. He's been in there with other recognized names that are ranked highly. And he's a very tough, well-rounded guy. Beating Rory MacDonald would definitely be the biggest win of my career.
All right, well, thanks a lot, both you guys, and good luck.
Your next question comes from the line of Steven Morocco from MMA Junkie. Your line is live.
Hey, a couple questions for Rory. You mentioned previously that surgery wasn't an option for your nose, and there was some concern as to how it would hold up in camp. Have you had to make any adjustments to make sure you don't get injured again?
Basically, I just gave it a lot of time. I took time off sparring and contact martial arts, and just gave it the month it needed to just fuse back together. I didn't do that after I lost to Robbie Lawler. I was back in the gym sparring hard and re-breaking it and training. So that's why we seen it break again in the Stephen Thompson fight. It wasn't healed, I just didn't really. I wasn't a professional about it because I was hungry. I wanted to get back in there and keep training hard and keep fighting hard. But I took the time I needed to, and it's back 100%. It's been tested in the gym. Absolutely, it's not a worry for me.
There's been a report off your Twitter account that you've moved on permanently from TriStar. Is that accurate?
No, it shouldn't be from my Twitter account. I don't know, but basically what you might be reading is that I did part of my training camp in Kelowna, BC, where I originated from, and I did a lot of my training with my coach David Lee there. But it's a place that I've always went back and forth with between Montreal. I spent a little more time there this training camp than usual.
Why? Why does that work better for you?
Just going back to what I was saying before, just getting back to my strengths. And I feel that David is very good at keeping me on track with that and not getting distracted with new things every day and trying to expand. He just keeps me in focus of what I'm trying to achieve for that fight, and it worked out great.
So you see a picture from Vitor Belfort joining the gym, and it's such a large group of guys. Is it easy to sort of get lost in the shuffle of training there full time at TriStar?
I don't really look at it like that. I mean, everybody's in there doing their own thing, working together, getting the work in. So it's great having a lot of new bodies in all the time. With the world famous gym, people are always stopping in, new bodies and new styles. So it's always fun having a lot of new guys come in.
And when you first started fighting, did you have this thought? Did you make peace with the idea that maybe your nose might not look the same after your career ended?
Yeah, I don't really care. I'm not in this to be a model or anything. I'm a born and bred warrior, and that's my outlook on my life. I don't really care how I look. I go out there and try to smash.
Got it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Your next question comes from the line of Susan Singari from Must Love MMA. Your line is live.
Hey, greetings, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to speak with me today. This question is for Rory and Paul. Either one of you can start. Rory, what makes Paul such a dangerous fighter? And then the same question for Paul.
I think Paul is one of the best MMA strikers out there with some of the best power, and that's something anyone who goes up against him has to be careful of. He's a hard-nosed guy. He wants to knock you out with every punch he throws, and he's also tough. If you hurt him, he'll keep coming. He won't just tap out and give up. So that's something that I've mentally prepared for. This is going to be a hard fight, but I just think that Paul's he's bitten off a little more than he could chew.
Okay. And Paul, same question. What makes Rory such a dangerous fighter?
Rory's well-rounded, and that's about it. I don't class him as a dangerous fighter. I don't fear him in any way. I've fought all the big, bad, tough, scary guys. Rory is nowhere up there with those guys. What makes Rory dangerous is just the fact that he's well-rounded, but sometimes that can also be a negative. So, and Rory's assessment of me is as I thought it would be, and that is why I know he's in for a shock on May 19th.
Okay, good stuff. Rory, one other quick question. The fans are very excitable, I would say, in England. Do you feel that that's going to put any pressure on you because you're fighting in his hometown?
Not really. I'm excited to be fighting over there in London. I think it's a cool opportunity for myself, an adventure, and I'm very excited about that. I'll fight anybody, anywhere, so no big deal.
All right, thank you. And one quick question for Scott. Is Scott still on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Scott. How are you? This week we've heard some fighters mention, such as Chuck Liddell and Matt Hughes, that they would consider coming out of retirement, which sounds pretty exciting to me and maybe some of the rest of the fans. Do you have any interest in signing them?
We have not talked to either athlete. So right now I'm really focused on this event coming up in England. It's going to be an exciting week for us coming up with all the festivities and then the big fights there at Wembley. And then, my focus really is on New York after that. So we're very busy. It's a busy schedule. So at some point I'm sure we'll talk and we'll just hear each other out and see if there's anything to be done. But really it hasn't been on our radar yet.
Okay. All right, good stuff. Thank you, gentlemen, and good luck on your fights.
Your next question comes from the line of Bob Carson, Carson's Corner. Your line is live.
Hi, thank you. My first question is for Paul. Paul, Rory is someone who can obviously fight both standing and on the ground. Are you at all wary of him potentially employing a wrestling-based game plan, perhaps with the goal of frustrating you?
Rory can do whatever he feels, or he can try to do whatever he feels is necessary to win the fight. I am confident in fighting everywhere. The assessment people make of me when it comes to the wrestling and the ground game is it kind of works in my favor, because I think I'm overlooked as far as my strengths on the ground and my record against guys that are strong on the ground. It is what it is. He will try and do what he has to do to survive, and I will do what I need to do to take him out. I'm not worried about anything or what tactics he may try to employ. I'm there to fight.
And your last fight featured absolutely terrifying and amazing knockout win over the very tough Brennan Ward. I mean, you've had big wins in Bellator before, but with a large audience watching and such a spectacular finish, it felt like you truly announced yourself as a top contender in that moment. In a career full of devastating knockouts and memorable moments, would you describe that as your signature performance thus far?
It was a fantastic knockout, The crowd was amazing. It being on the Tito's retirement fight, I felt the energy from the crowd before and after the fight. I have a similar knockout with exactly the same move. So it's not something that I didn't expect to happen. But yeah, it was good because Brendan, as well as being a nice guy, is super tough. He won the middleweight tournament. He's been in there with some tough guys. He fought well over in Japan at Rising. He has knockout power. He's a collegiate level wrestler. He's a tough kid. So it was good to get a winner over Brendan Ward.
And Rory, even though you had a couple losses towards the end of your UFC run, one of those was named Fight of the Night or Fight of the Year. And immediately beforehand, you had beaten the current champion, Tyron Woodley, fairly decisively. And on top of that, you defeated Damian Maia, who many people consider to be the top contender at 170. Do you feel that people, either fans, the UFC, or both, have somehow disregarded those huge wins?
That's just the nature of the sport. You're only as good as your last performance, and people are easy to write off fighters if they have a bad loss or a bad outing, and they think that they're done or, things like that. It's just a natural thing for critics to say and think. So I never really put too much worry into that. Obviously, I feel like I have a lot more to prove in my career, and May 19th will be the start of that.
Thank you both. I appreciate it.
As a reminder, if you would like to ask a question, please press star, then 1 on your telephone keypad. Your next question comes from the line of Steven Morocco from MMA Junkie. Your line is live.
I wanted to piggyback on a previous question. Wanted to ask both Paul and Rory, what is your opinion about seeing either Chuck Liddell or Matt Hughes or both of them back in the octagon again? We'll start with Paul.
Chuck's a legendary fighter. Produced some highlight reel knockouts. Great character for the sport of mixed martial arts. And Matt Hughes was a consistently dominant champion. So it'd be great to have two legends back in the sport. In particular, Matt Hughes. Is in my division. It'd be great to get in there and fight against a legend. So it'd be great to have them both back, and even better if they come to Bellator.
And Rory?
I think Bellator's done a fantastic job, bringing in these legendary fighters and matching them up against each other. I think it's good for those legendary fighters to come in and stay busy and do what they love without having to go up against the young and dangerous guys. So I like it. The fans like it. It really works. So I would always like to see more of the old school guys keep coming back to Bellator for good fights.
All right, thank you.
Your next question comes from the line of Jay Anderson from Cage Side Press. Your line is live.
Hey, good afternoon from Ontario, Canada. First question, I guess either Scott or Rory. Obviously doing the big event in London in Paul Daley's backyard, was there any talk originally of maybe having Rory fight up in Canada?
Yeah, this is Scott. We had checked several venues, availabilities, and we are currently speaking to a couple of venues in Canada about doing a big fight there before the end of the year. So, just hang tight. We'll be up there shortly, and we'll come there like we did in London. We'll come there with a big card, big matchups.
That's great to hear. And one question for Rory. I know you mentioned you took the time off. You'd originally, after you broke the nose originally, you'd kept training, re-broke it in training. How long was it before that nose was really fully healed? And, has it been touched in training since? Are you confident in it?
Yeah, pretty much I didn't spar all the way up to training camp. And then I started once, I was a couple months away from the fight. I started my regular training, and it's been tested for the last 2 months, and it hasn't given me any problems, and I haven't been worrying about it. I'm very confident in it.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Your next question comes from the line of Mark Yopos from Wombat Sports. Your line is live.
Thank you for taking my call. My first question is to Rory. You're coming into this fight, coming off 2 5-round fights right now, and now you're coming into this fight, which is a 3-rounder. Is that a little bit easier for you since you had the long layoff? And is there any kind of difference in your training coming into a 3-round fight versus a 5-rounder?
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a little more explosive training rather than a little more, how could you say, a little bit more cardiovascular. You got to train your body to last a little longer, and it's a different pace. So, I've been enjoying training for a 3-round fight rather than my last 2 have been at 5. But personally, I like the long fights just because you get to really see how the fight will play out. Because when you're talking to the best guys in the world, 15 minutes usually isn't enough.
Are you thinking that's why you're thinking that maybe it's a little bit more urgency and why you want to get the finish this time around? Is that then a different focus for you in this training camp to be more of a finisher than try to slug it out for 3-hole rounds or 5-hole rounds? I think it's fitting for my style to be a finisher. I kind of strayed away from that, focusing on different aspects of martial arts for a few years, and I've gotten back to my old self where at any moment I'm looking to put the guy away. And for Paul, Rory has not been finished in the past 7 years. Obviously that's something that would be marquee on terms of your on your resume, to be able to be one of the only 2 people who have finished Rory MacDonald. But is that something that you're kind of concentrating on? He's going to be a tough out coming all 3 rounds. But obviously is that something that you're looking forward to?
He hasn't been finished in the past 7 years. Did you say? Didn't he quit against Robbie Lawler? Pretty sure he quit that fight. That didn't go to a decision, right? He quit. Yeah. So, that's wrong. He quit the fight. He talked of being a warrior and all of this, but he quit in a fight due to broken nose or not. If you're a fighter, you do not quit. I'm not worried about anything Rory has to bring. I don't care in the statistics. He hasn't fought me, and that is it. I fought guys who have never been knocked out, and if you look at their records, I'm the guy that knocks them out. So it means nothing to me. I'm just there to fight.
Roy, do you want to follow up on his comment about you quitting in that fight, and do you want to kind of follow up on that and kind of explain your side? Yeah, sure. I definitely was pushed to my breaking point in that fight, and I definitely had to go down, but there was no way I was tapping out or telling the ref to call the fight.
I just at that point I was done on my feet, and I had to take a knee, and the ref stepped in. But I think if he thinks I'm an easy to quit kind of fighter, I think he's in for a rude awakening.
And finally for Scott, first of all, congratulations on signing a bunch of female flyweights to your division. Do we have any kind of timeline at which are we going to see a tournament, or are you just going to wait for things to pan out in terms of the championship?
Yes, right now it hasn't been determined whether we would host a tournament or not, but it's definitely something we're considering. In the meantime, we're going to start fighting, these ladies, off the single elimination fights, and started working, them towards the title. So that's the game plan for right now.
And can we expect any more signings within the next couple months?
Of course, always. I mean, there's new free agents popping up here and there, and when they're able to speak to us, we're going to speak to them. And I made it very clear that our goal is to sign every free agent that we want to keep, to come over to our roster, and that we're open for business. And I think last year was a great year for us. I think this year will be another great year for us for free signing acquisitions.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Scott, and thanks a lot for taking my call, guys, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. With that, we're going to actually just have Rory and Paul, close things up with some final closing statements. If you want to get us started, Rory.
I don't really got much to say. I had a great training camp. I'm feeling at my best, and I'm going to go out there to punish this guy and make him look like he doesn't even belong in there with me. And as well as every other fighter I come across, it's just going to be a different league when they step in there with me.
Great. And Paul?
Yeah, with that said, make sure everyone tunes in May 19th. Make sure you have your tickets. And just, prepare yourself for an entertaining main event. That's all I have to say. The rest of the talking I'll do in the cage May 19th. And Rory will see exactly what I'm on about.
Great. With that, I want to thank all the media for joining us for the Bellator 179 conference call. Make sure to tune in next Friday, May 19th, from the SSE Arena, Wembley in London. We will see you next time.
This concludes today's teleconference. You may now disconnect your line.